A Florida school district canceled a professor's civil rights lecture for teachers, citing concerns over critical race theory. That professor maintains that his seminar is nothing, or rather has nothing to do with that topic. NBC News national political reporter Marc Caputo has been following this story. He joins us now. So, Marc, first off, what else is the professor saying, and how is the school district responding?
We're saying a lot of things. The history of the civil rights movement, in his view, is not properly taught, that it's essentially taught as springing up around the time of Martin Luther King and ending with his death. And he's saying, no, actually, we really want to begin it with the era of Reconstruction after the Civil War and carry it through Martin Luther King's death. That's what his lecture was about. That's what his seminar was supposed to be about in Osceola County Public Schools, a suburb of Orlando, where he was going to teach teachers how to teach history and civil rights movement. Now, because of the current climate in Florida, Osceola County school administrators informed him and an organization that was helping put on the seminar on Wednesday that, hey, you can't give this talk on Saturday. There's a lot of concern over critical race theory. Now, the presentation he's shown us and in our discussions with him and just looking at the facts, his speech has nothing to do with critical race theory. I mean, both of them concern race, but there the similarities end. And he's saying, look, this is part of the climate of culture of fear, a climate of fear and political opportunism that has sprung up as a result of the way Ron DeSantis and other Republicans who control the state government in Tallahassee have gone about campaigning against critical race theory, which he says the ultimate end game here is to not teach people about civil rights at all, to chill historical discussion, chill discussion of the facts. Yeah. And now DeSantis' spokesperson denies this. She's saying, look, this has nothing to do with not teaching history. This has something to do with not teaching a form of essentially anti-white racism. I'm paraphrasing what she said.
Yeah, you mentioned the climate there now and the government in particular. Can you explain this bill right now that the GOP has moving through the legislature that looks at school curricula?
Right. Well, essentially, it seeks to enshrine the so-called critical race theory ban into statute. But in order to do that, there's language in there that says essentially you can't teach about race and cause discomfort. And that has been widely read and interpreted as being called the, quote, white discomfort bill. That is essentially if a white kid happens to think, oh, these lessons about the civil rights movement or these race related things make me feel bad as a white person, well, I'm going to have essentially a cause of action. We're going to be able to put a stop to this. And that's produced this sort of atmosphere, according to school administrators, according to this professor, which has sort of led to the cancellation of his speech currently. Now, I should say it's early in the state legislative session, 60-day legislative session. It began January 11th. When bills start out, they very often don't end up this way. DeSantis did call for this legislation. He also called for a cause of action for parents to be able to sue school districts that teach critical race theory. Not a lot of evidence that's being taught, by the way. However, that provision has not yet made its way into the legislation, and it might not.
You mentioned parents, Mark. What's been the reaction from them at this point?
Well, it depends on what parents you're talking to. You have very motivated conservative parents who are really concerned about the way in which race is being taught. Now, in part, if you look at the discussion of race in social media, or you look at so-called anti-racism training, that's a little different from critical race theory. And there is what's got a lot of conservative hackles up because people have felt that they have been attacked for their race. That having been said, critical race theory is a high-level, college-level theoretical discussion about the way in which structural racism is embedded in society. It's a bit different. Nevertheless, they've been kind of conflated, and you have very motivated conservative parents who are talking about this. You don't really see a lot of discussion or hear a lot of discussion from progressive or liberal parents concerned about this. I mean, you do see it on social media. However, you do hear teachers that are concerned, hey, this is chilling our ability to teach history and teach the truth. And that's where the rub largely is.
All right, Marc Caputo, I appreciate you walking us through the details. Far too often, people don't want to hear all of the details on these really critical issues. Mark, thanks.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.